Hey, it's Soul, bringing to you news, updates, analyses, and... Dude, today I'm going to talk about my experience leveling in Legion and give you guys a kind of feeling of what it'll be like. I know I talked about leveling and max content in older videos, but I wanted to make a kind of an update that brings us closer to what we'll see at launch. Alright, let's jump right to it. So, I made a Horde Paladin and spec'd it for protection, because, you know, I'm so predictable. Now, keep in mind that because of this, I didn't do the Broken Shore event, nor did I do the Order Hall campaign. Neither of those were available. And when you create a character in the alpha, they start with an item level at 680, so keep that in mind. I took up mining and blacksmithing as my professions. We'll jump ahead of the whole Broken Shore and artifact quest thing, and we'll just get right to what it'll be like leveling. I'll say this now, it took me 14 hours to get to max level, so a little bit over an hour for each level. I know it's kind of fast, but I did make a few max level characters already, so I didn't bother reading the quest text, I already knew where to go, and so on, so your mileage may vary. Consider this like the speed of a slightly above average player who has already leveled one character before. In this run I completed all of Azuna and High Mountain. Well, I think I did all of it. If I missed something, whatever. And I think I did half of Stormheim by the time I got to 110. I only did a couple of the profession quests, but as I was leveling I did every bonus objective that I could, and I also did no dungeons. So if I had one word to describe the questing, it'd be good. It feels good. They have a Warlords of Draenor kind of level of quality to it, but unlike Warlords, the end of major quest lines ends with a dungeon. So think of it like a mix of Warlords and Mist of Pandaria. If you don't know it by now, the story of Legion is really lore heavy. Now, a moment ago I implied that the quests in Warlords were great, and they are, but the premise of Warlords of Draenor doesn't quite hit home since it's an alternate reality sort of reaction story. Legion, though, puts the player firmly in the present, and odds are pretty good that you'll do all the quests. The environment and the terrain, though, they're at a, totally different level. It just looks really, really good. There aren't a lot of obvious looking paths, but they're there. The terrain looks more natural than ever, and there's tons and tons of small paths and little nooks that, if you feel up for exploring, it'll reward you with a small treasure or a path to a rare mob, and those are also all over the place. I had mixed thoughts on the whole level scaling thing, and I critiqued that leveling didn't really feel like leveling. After being on the alpha for a while though now, I want to take that back and see that it kinda does, but the lines are really blurred. Levels give you a bit of a power boost, but the real significance of leveling comes with a higher item level drops you now have access to. The concern about mobs being your level at 110 is still sort of valid, but having access to the entire Broken Isles for max level content is worth it. So even though I skipped or I didn't have access to a couple things while leveling, there's still a pretty healthy bucket of stuff to do once you do hit max level. There's raiding in PvP, duh. You can move on to the max level zone, Suramar. There are a lot of videos now that are going over Suramar, so I suggest looking at those if you're really interested. It's still a bit too broken and incomplete for me to want to talk about in depth, but I'll summarize. It doesn't feel like a leveling zone, that's for sure. There's some gear and artifact power rewards that you earn while going through the zone, but it has a late game kind of feel. Like, it's hard to describe. Like, think of old Shadowmoon Valley or Twilight Highlands. It's not the kind of zone that you can or should really rush through. You can continue on the other leveling zones, and you probably should. It's a good source of artifact power, and you're probably going to want to do it for the Pathfinder achievement. There's at least one max level quest that I found, and it's a short quest line that starts in Dalaran. It'll eventually lead you to unlocking the Obliterum Forge, but I never finished it. I figure that you want to do it though. At this level, the world quest system will open up so you can take care of certain needs like pre-heroic gear, artifact power, order hall resources, crafting materials, reputation, ponies, whatever. There's the order hall campaign, which again I couldn't even start, but you probably want to get through and finish it for, I don't even know what you get for finishing it now. They keep changing it, so I'm not going to bother mentioning. Once you're ready, there's the heroic and mythicer dungeons that you can do. You can go back and unlock the other artifact weapons if you haven't done that already. There are the profession quests. Now, some of them will have you go to certain zones, and in my example, I only went to 2.5 zones, so they might have been hard to finish in the first place. Doing them, of course, will get you all the recipes that you want. And of course there's farming for materials, and that's a really big thing now. Remember, only gatherers can gather stuff these days. There's no Order Hall herb garden or Order Hall mine or anything like that that's there to help us this time. Nodes are only for gatherers, and world quests for gatherers are only for gatherers. So once you do hit endgame, there's kind of a daily maintenance that you want to keep up. One is the cooking recorders. You want to keep those going so you can maximize your gain on learning new recipes. I still think the system's dumb. You can look at one of my previous videos if you want to hear more about it. You want to make sure that your order hall research is going at a constant rate too. I think the last talent for the order hall is still going at around 2 weeks. So you want to make sure that you have the order hall resources that you need to maintain those. Chances are that before you go out and start doing stuff, you want to check back on your mission table and see if there are any buffs that you can get, or get one of your champions to help you do the world quests or gathering or whatever it is that you're doing out in the world a little bit faster. I think it's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff that you can do, and there's always something you can kind of fall back on if you feel like you have nothing else to do. Like if you're waiting for a queue, you can do Suramar quests, or you can farm for stuff. But overall, I like what I'm doing. I'm not just sitting at a table waiting for something to happen. I'm out there making things happen on my own. But tell me what you think in a comment. Do you like the delivery? Is it too much? Is there not enough? Is there ever enough? Otherwise, guys, thanks for coming, like and sub, and I'll see you guys later. I'm Soul. Stay breezy, guys.